Hi everyone, it's Dee here, back again with another tutorial. Today we're making this beautiful textured top. This is, here we have the moss stitch, and then here we have the half double crochets, and we're just going to be alternating between the two patterns, the half double crochet and the moss stitch. So here is how we're going to get started. What you need is the length of your top. You're gonna chain from where you want it to start to where you want it to stop. So for me, I wanted a short or a crop top. So if you want yours to be longer, then you're going to add more chains for your top to be longer than mine. All you need to know is how long you want your top to be, and also you need your bust measurement so you know how wide you need to make the top. So it's going to be that simple, and with all that being said, let's get started. You're going to need a tape measure. You're going to need a hook. I'll be using a size 4mm hook. And you can use any size that your yarn recommends. You're going to need a darning needle. You'll need stitch markers and a pair of scissors. And for the yarn, I'm going to be using big twist like I always do. I'm going to miss this tool because it's leaving us very soon. So yeah, I definitely will have to find another yarn to use. But yeah, this is a size 4 yarn. It's 100% acrylic and it's 170 grams. It recommends a 5mm hook, but I chose to use a smaller hook, which is a 4mm hook. You're going to make a foundation chain that is long enough to go from where you want your top to start to where you want it to stop. So this is mine, and it is, hold on, all right, my top is 11 inches long, so that is going to be your foundation chain. If you want your top to be 13 inches long, you're going to make a chain that's gonna go all the way to 13, okay? Or if you want it longer, you just have to add more chains depending on the size that you're making. Now let's see the width. Mine is 29.5 inches wide. So if you are smaller than me, obviously your top is going to be smaller. Okay, you won't have to make yours this wide. So let's get started. So since I already have this piece, this rectangle completed, I'm just going to make a sample for you guys for this pattern. And then you can just go ahead and make it according to your size. All right, we start off with a slip knot. Insert your hook and then make a chain that is an odd number. I'm going to chain 15 for this sample. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Alright, so this is my 15 chains, and for my actual top I chained 51. So to get started with our first row, we're going to turn our chain and work in the back bumps of the chain. So we're going to skip this first chain, and in this second chain we're going to make a slip stitch. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then pull through all like so. That is our first stitch, and try your best not to tighten it, and get a stitch marker and place it there. Then in the second stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook in that second chain, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook and pull through all, and that is a half double crochet. The third stitch is going to get a slip stitch, so insert your hook, pull up a loop and make a slip stitch. Then the next stitch is going to get a half double crochet, so yarn over, insert your hook in that next stitch or chain and make a half double crochet. The next stitch gets a slip stitch, and make sure you're not making your stitches too tight because we're going to work into them on our next row. So you're going to keep alternating between a slip stitch and a half double crochet all the way through. All right, once you make it to the end, you're going to end with a half double crochet, and that marks our first row. You can also place there a stitch marker, but I really don't have to, but you can place there a stitch marker. All right, now to start our second row, we're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, turn our work, and in this first stitch we're going to make a slip stitch. So insert your hook, pull up a loop and slip stitch, yarn over, and the next stitch, which is a slip stitch from the previous row, you're going to place there a half double crochet. Then you're going to make a slip stitch on top of the next stitch, then make a half double crochet, and we're going through both loops. Okay, insert your hook through both loops, half double crochet. The next stitch is a slip stitch, and again you're going to alternate between the 2 stitches, between a slip stitch and a half double crochet. All right, so once you get to the end, this is our last stitch. So I'm taking out the stitch marker and I'm going to place there a half double crochet. And that's the end of row 2. Row 3, we're going to repeat row 2. Chain 1 and turn. Chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and on top of that first stitch you're going to make a slip stitch, and then you're going to make a half double crochet, then slip stitch on top of the next stitch, then half double crochet, and keep alternating between the 2 stitches. So what you have to keep in mind here is that where you previously had a slip stitch, on the next row you're going to place there a half double crochet, and where you had a half double crochet you place a slip stitch. So it's that simple. All right, so at the end here I'm going to end with a half double crochet. All right, so here we have our 2 rows completed, and we are going to repeat that second row. I know I'm not using my stitch marker, but feel free to mark your last and first stitch so you don't get confused. Row 3, you're going to chain 1, turn your work. Again, the chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Our first stitch here is a half double crochet, so I'm placing there a slip stitch for my next row. So slip stitch, then yarn over. The next stitch gets a half double crochet, then slip stitch, half double crochet in the next stitch, slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next stitch, and keep going like that. I have one stitch left and I'm going to place there my half double crochet. Okay, I think I made it a little bit tight. Yeah, the hassle to go through a tight stitch be real, but yeah, make your half double crochet like so, chain 1 and repeat row 2 and 3. Start with a slip stitch, so pull this a little bit up so it's not too tight, and pull through, and then half double crochet, then slip stitch, half double crochet, and keep repeating the pattern, alternating between a slip stitch and a half double crochet. When you get to the last stitch, place there your last stitch, which is a half double crochet. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we started with a slip stitch and ended with a half double crochet. Chain 1, turn your work, then start with a slip stitch, then make a half double crochet, make a slip stitch, then a half double crochet, slip stitch, and keep going with the pattern. All right, so this is how it looks. And if it's confusing for you to see the slip stitch, you can always tell that it's between these two loops. So a slip stitch is always right in the middle. That is how you see it, right there, between these two stitches. Okay. So as you can see here with the pattern, I kept changing it a little bit, adding in the normal half double crochets, and I kept doing this after every 10 rows of the moss stitch or the textured stitch. After 10 rows, and then I did 6 rows of normal half double crochets, and then again I did 10 rows of the moss stitch, and then 6 rows of the normal half double crochets, and I kept it going like that. But then again, you can always do just the moss stitch on its own. You can decide on that. But yeah, let's continue with the pattern. So once you have enough rows for your moss stitch, well, you may want to make 5 rows, maybe 6 rows. I made 10 and then I changed to the normal half double crochets. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, and this time you're going to yarn over and make 1 half double crochet in every stitch. Okay, every stitch gets 1 half double crochet. Once you make it to the end, chain one and turn your work and make another row of 1/2 double crochet going through both loops like we've been doing. Okay, so for this sample, I'm only going to make these 2 half double crochet rows, and then I'm going to show you one more time how to make the moss stitch, and then I'll let you guys continue repeating the same pattern. Chain one, turn your work, and on top of this first stitch, you're going to insert your hook and make a slip stitch, yarn over. In the next stitch, make a half double crochet. In the next stitch, make a slip stitch, then make a half double crochet, and keep alternating between the 2 stitches of 1/2 double crochet and a slip stitch until you get to the end. Chain one and turn, and on top of this first stitch, make a slip stitch, and then make a half double crochet in the next stitch, and then a slip stitch in the next, and keep on alternating between the 2 stitches again. I have 1 stitch left, and I'm placing there 1/2 double crochet, chain one and turn, and repeat the pattern. Slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet. And that's the pattern you're going to repeat over and over. So after the moss stitch that we just finished, you're going to make the normal half double crochets, and you keep widening it up until it is wide enough to go to fit around your bust. Okay, so that's what you're going to keep on repeating, and then we move on to the next step. Once you have your piece completed, like you've got enough width for your top, we're going to fold it like so. For my top here, I have 80 rows completed. So if you're smaller, of course yours is going to be, you're not going to make 80 rows, okay? So just make sure that this is wide enough to go around your bust, okay? So we're now going to attach the 2 sides together. So we still have our yarn attached to the last stitch here. Oh, one more detail, make sure that you end on a different pattern so that it can coordinate with the rest of the pattern that we've been doing. So here I ended with the normal half double crochets, while here I have the moss stitch. All right, now we're going to join them together. Okay, so here I'm going to chain one, then insert my hook in the first stitch, and as I go, I'll just work over this strand as well. So I'm going to pull through the yarn like so, and then go back in the first stitch for both sides and make a single crochet in the next stitch, making sure that you go through both sides at the same time. I made it to the end and I just have a few stitches left. This is my last stitch. Then go back in that same stitch for both sides. And make a slip stitch. Then chain one. Get your scissors and then cut off the yarn, leaving a long tail that you can weave in later. Then pull the strand tight. And this is what you should have. This is going to be the back of your top. So this is the wrong side. I'm now going to flip it to the right side. And this is how the right side looks. Then I'm going to get my darning needle and I'm going to weave in this tail. So I'm just going through the single crochet row back and forth, and then I'll cut the yarn. And the last thing we're going to do here is try on our top. So put on the top and then mark where you want the straps to be. I did it, I tried it on, and this is what I have. And this is going to be the front part of my top, and I will have 8 inches left between the two straps. Okay, so your case might be different, but go ahead and try it on and see where exactly you would like your straps to be. And once you're sure of where you want them to be, you're going to get your yarn and make a slip knot. And then we're going to attach it where we have the stitch marker. Okay, so I will insert my hook in that stitch and then take out the stitch marker and place it right in the back of my hook, or in the back of the stitch where it was placed. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's what you're gonna do. And then get your yarn and you're going to make a chain long enough to go all the way over your shoulders to the back. For my case here, I'm going to chain 55. So I'll go ahead and make that much chain. And once you have enough chains, you're going to take out the stitch marker that we placed in the back. And then you're going to slip stitch in that same space where the stitch marker was. So pull through, then chain 1. Get your scissors and cut off the yarn, leaving a long tail that you can weave in. But before you weave this tail in, I suggest that you try on the top first again. You try on the top again and be sure that the strap is long enough to how you want it to be. And now we're going to do the same thing we just did with the strap on this other side of the top. So this is our second strap. Alright, so I'm going to do the same thing. Take out the stitch marker and then place it in the back of the top. and then get my yarn, and again I'm going to make a chain of 55, and then I'll slip stitch to the back of my top. Alright, once you have enough chains, again you're going to slip stitch in the back of the top where you had your stitch marker, then chain 1, get your scissors and cut. So before you weave in your ends, try on the top and see if you're comfortable with the straps. And if not, you can always add on more chains or take off some chains until you're comfortable with what you have. Make sure to weave in your ends and go rock your top. And this brings us to the end of this tutorial, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll be seeing you guys in my next one, okay? So take care of yourselves, guys. Bye.